This is Nick HeadHunter Chapman.
Fighting out of RJA prize fighters and Andy Robbins Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Nick Chapman!
Considered one of the UK's premier mixed martial arts athletes and undefeated in his MMA career.
He's struggling, he's out and he doesn't like it. Chapman wins by arm triangle.
In 8 weeks' time, Nick will square off against a very tough and experienced MMA fighter with one goal: to become the UK1MMA Light Heavyweight Champion. This is Nick HeadHunter Chapman as you've never seen him before, uncensored and uncut. This is his story. It's Thursday morning and Nick's asked me to meet him at his local gym for his usual strength and conditioning session with Fight Science strength and conditioning coach Owen Flitton.
Not busy enough. Oh yeah, that's proper crooked. Now you definitely look like part of the Fight Science team.
16, 17 times done it? Can't be any worse.
Makes the fighters feel a little bit more at ease with someone who looks like they've had a God almighty tear up. Or in your case, yeah, kicking.
Owen's an expert in the science of fitness and knows just how hard to push the headhunter to get the most from him.
Suck it up, buddy. Let's get on the bench.
Suck it up. Get on with it, man up. Owen has no sympathy. That's a fact.
Let's go. 15 reps, nice and slow. Fast up and down.
Say again. Nice and slow, yeah.
Nice and slow, as fast up and down. 3, 2, 1, lift.
When Nick's got a fight like this coming up, how do you prepare him for that?
Basically, we start very early on, prepare him. We look at, we discuss things with his rehab team, so Adrian, physios, things like that. Then we assess him, we see what his movement's like at the time. Obviously, we've got a good idea from his other, from past fights and training camps, so we kind of know where he is all the time anyway. But especially this camp, he's had a bit of time out, had to recover, recuperate. Comes back, and then we go top-down planning. We plan out this whole 12 weeks. Say what's going on in each week, and then we break it all the way down, right down to each session, what he's doing, intensities, volumes. We manipulate all of that, so at the end of it we get him peaking. We start with an anatomical adaptation phase, which starts off as sort of 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what the medical team say about Nick and what he needs to work on, if he's got any injuries or niggles. Then we move on to the real base strength work, so some strongman training, some heavy lifts, building a little bit of power work, particularly movement pattern work for things like his snatch and his Olympic lifts mainly, that need a lot of technique work. And then they can last sort of 6 weeks, but sometimes broken down into 2-3 week cycles, depending on how Nick's feeling and how training's going in general. And then we move into a second set of 6 weeks, which tends to be more power, muscular endurance, and conditioning. So it all depends. It's one of these things we plan for, but the plan always changes. We make sure Nick's in good shape. We make sure he's happy. We make sure his other training's not interfering with his S&C, and his S&C's not interfering with his normal training.
And this is the easy part. This is the easy bit. I think out of everything I do, my wrestling, my boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, even the shark tanking, This guy puts me through the worst. That's the truth. Thanks for that.
No worries. Take that as a compliment.
Right, once Owen's finished with his strength conditioning sessions, I always coincide my physio straight after, because the muscles are kind of lubricated, tense. So he massages me out, snaps me about, pulls, pokes, prods and does whatever he does. It hurts, but then I'm a fighter, everything I've got to do hurts. Let's see if he's in. Yo!
Hey Nick.
You ready for me?
Yeah, come on in.
Cheers buddy. This is
to
my
see you.
physio.
Right.
He works wonders with me.
Try to. Right, whip your shirt off.
You like to see me naked, I think.
Body as good as that. It's something to work towards, isn't it? Right,
Face down, yeah.
drop the face down on there for me.
Oh!
Okay, any major aches and pains anywhere?
No, back for some reason, it's quite tense. I've got a lot of, yeah, I think it's just tightness.
So you've been stretching enough?
No,
That's per normal. One thing this guy doesn't like stretching.
I'm not going to lie.
No.
I don't like doing a lot of things. I have been stretching, but not as much as I should.
He's improved a lot on what he used to. You know, he was very, very bad on stretching, but now he has improved. He's doing what he's told, which helps, and it works in conjunction with what I'm doing to loosen all the muscles up as well. Okay, let's put a little bit of tissue on there.
How many times a week do you like to see Nick, Adrian?
Usually twice a week. Yeah, particularly leading up to a fight, maybe 3. And it gets any little niggles, you know, before they actually develop into anything worse. You know, because what we don't want to do is something like a festering thing that goes on, and you leave it alone. And what we tend to do now is work on maintenance rather than try to cure a problem. You know, waiting for it to happen. If we work on a maintenance scheme, then you know it alleviates and eliminates a lot of injuries and risk. There we go. Brilliant. Program. It's going to make you much more flexible, so your high kicks are going to come in. When Nick first came to me, it was actually quite stiff. You know, I had geriatric patients that were actually more flexible than he was. But you know, once Nick's warmed up, he's very, very flexible. But from cold, you know, he's not that flexible. His starting point is actually quite sort of stiff. Once he's warmed up, you know, his kicks come up quite high. You know, and he's pretty good. But what we're trying to do is get his starting point that much more further ahead, so that his finish point, therefore, is even more flexible. Okay, let's have a little butchers at that. That feels better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Much, much better. Right, there you go. Right, let's get that sorted.
As well as the regular training sessions that Nick undertakes for his fight preparation, he must also attend private training sessions with his coaches to stay one step ahead. Nick's taking me to meet one of the leading names in K1 coaching, the co-founder of Raja Prize Fighters, Usman Raja. Solomon and his brother Usman have been responsible for training some of the UK's most successful K1 and MMA fighters. I'm looking forward to see what sort of angle Solomon can bring to Nick's game.
How much you weigh? 100 kilos. Don't worry, it's coming off. This is what he does. He moans at me. He keeps me in check, I'd say.
God.
I'm not eating my top and stuff. I'm eating good stuff, but just lots of it.
Cool. You look big, man.
Big and strong. This is good. Yeah. When Nick started off, when he first come to me, he come from more of a traditional Thai background, so his guard was very square, his boxing was very, let's say, amateur boxing. So when he's come to us, we've sort of adapted it with the pole boxing, like who my brother's trained off, like Johnny Eames, TKO. So we started adding that. From my like wrestling and grappling background, I can understand the MMA game, so I've learnt to get him sitting down low on his legs like a lot of the other UFC fighters, being able to you know, teach him the stand-up, but yet understand that because of my wrestling background, that, you know, wrestlers are going to do this and, you know, do this. So, you know, I've changed it totally. The whole dynamics of the way he fights has changed 100% since he's been with me, from a traditional, more square guard to a more, you know, functional, more shoot fighting guard, let's say. Do you know what I mean? Where you're always waiting for the shoot, but yet moving around, countering and stuff like that. Every time you're this big, you always suffer.
Strong like bull.
Thing is, I'm not unfit like
See what I mean?
No, but I like. You know,
I'll be lost about this guy. It's like my mum, my wife, my best mate.
The problem with
my coach,
putting on weight is your body has to get used to it, and his body can't get used to that.
All
he has to cut it again.
Yeah, I know. And I cut my fitness.
And the problem isn't weight, it's muscle. So his muscle needs oxygen. Where's the oxygen he has from his cardio?
The thing, I don't put the fat on. I just, when I stop training.
It's probably even worse that you put on muscle. Even.
Yeah.
It's probably better that you put on fat.
But I'm strong like bull.
Yeah, but what are you going to strong like bull for?
I can pick you up above my head.
Yeah, probably. I'm going to probably last probably 1 second of fitness.
Our sessions aren't always like this, by the way. Yeah. He really kicks my arse near the fight. But in the moment, so cutting angle, right.
So jab, cutting angle with the right hand.
What's the typical schedule that you would work on with Nick if he's got a fight coming up?
Well, Nick, with the stand-up, he'll do a personal with me on a Monday, which would be an hour of technique, fitness, you know, loads of rounds, mixing up, like getting him to sit down on his legs and stuff to be ready for, like, you know, like people shooting in and stuff like that. Then we'll do maybe he'll come over to a Monday class, which would be again doing pad work, then he'll do plyometrics at the end, then we'll work on a Thursday, which would be sparring and, you know, again plyometrics, and then if he feels he needs more, he'll, you know, book in a personal, stuff like that. So that's generally what we do. And the rest of the time he's working his grappling with Roger Gracie, and he'll do a bit of wrestling with his wrestling coaches. So, you know, so he's got a really busy, you know, routine which he follows.
All right, see you later, guys. I'll catch you next week, so. Oh, a lot of technical at the moment, which is good. It's working on some new types of movement and stuff. This is alright, this is quite chilled out. Right, off to work now.
With the private session at an end, it's time for Nick to engage in something that might possibly be one of the most essential parts of Nick's training. He's preparing to meet his sports psychologist, Rebecca Symes. Rebecca has played a huge part in helping Nick to switch from Nick Chapman to the HeadHunter since the beginning of his career.
Okay, this is Rebecca Symes. She's my sports psychologist. Her business is called Sport and Success. Usually what we discuss is confidential, but for the purposes of the video, I've allowed Rebecca to speak openly about what we've worked on. So what I want to try and do now is go through things with you that I can implement to get everything right. I seem to be doing a lot more visualisation and during sessions as well, and a couple of my coaches have mentioned how quickly I'm learning.
Excellent.
I said it's a phenomenal rate, so I'd like to keep going with something like that, ways to speed up the learning process, to make sure things are going in.
I don't know how much you want this to actually be seen, but
oh yeah, I remember.
first of all, I thought it'd be worth just thinking about that in terms of, that was obviously the target for where we said we were June last year, and then the target, and I don't know whether you want to re-rate yourself on some of those now and say, actually, how far has this expanded?
I'm just looking at that now. It'd be interesting to do that because I can definitely see things that have changed a lot since then. It's interesting to see this actually.
Yeah.
Even though I'm fighting for a title, and I think this guy that I'm fighting he's going to be my biggest challenge today.
Who is it you're fighting?
A guy called Neil Baton.
Okay.
He's American. I think he's American. He's a wrestler. So we know a little bit about him, but I'm actually, you know, as much as he's a very, very good fighter, he's very tough. I watched him fight.
I'm Rebecca Symes and I'm a sports psychologist and work with a variety of athletes in a range of different sports. Essentially what we're looking at is we're looking at Nick's mindset and the way he approaches both his training and also his competition and his fights. So in the original session we set out a variety of different areas that we wanted to look at. So things like self-belief, focus, relaxation, preparation routines. And we then take each area in turn and look at them and look and work out when it wants to improve, what areas he wants to particularly focus on and how they're developing. I've been working with Nick now for about a year, and he's absolutely brilliant in terms of his dedication and his focus to the programme that we're working on. He really understands the impact that it's not only about what we actually do in our sessions, but it's also about him putting in the effort away from the sessions and at training. He's improved massively in terms of his focus, his preparation routines, which before, by his own admission, probably were non-existent, and now actually he's got some great routines in place. He's a lot more focused. He has a lot more clarity over what he's working towards in his targets. We've done a lot of work on goal setting, so Nick is fully aware of each week what he's trying to do and what he's trying to achieve. And I think the big thing as well is that he's very much got the mental side of his fighting integrated in with the physical side as well. It's really, really hard to separate the mental side and the physical side, and so Nick's really now got that kind of the blend of the two areas coming together to get the absolute most out of himself.
So before bed you need to switch off, because everything that you do in the evenings is actually related to other people, and actually you need time that's about you, that's actually about Nick.
Yeah, because I need to protect Nick sometimes from the headhunter.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Because it's about the identities that we've talked about before. Your identity is Nick as an individual, as a person, but also headhunter as a persona, as something you get into. So when you go to fight, when you go training and you go to performance, you've actually got that identity that you almost kind of step into, and you get into the mindset of that's who I am now.
Exactly. And that to carry all the way up to bedtime is quite stressful. I mean, to carry the headhunter persona all the time is very difficult. I mean, I love the headhunter, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
You haven't got the switch off then.
Nick time to switch off before bed. This is what's affecting my sleep then, mate, because obviously that's headhunter right up till bedtime, and excellent.
And you need that time just for you as a person to do something that's non-fight related.
Okay, Scrabble and chess.
Great.
We're back at the Andy Roberts Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and Nick's invited me to one of the MMA sessions he conducts for up-and-coming MMA fighters.
Imagine shooting it.
Amongst the class is Neil Harris. Neil's due to fight on the White Collar MMA event on Saturday, June the 4th, an event dedicated to offering brand new and inexperienced fighters the chance to experience what it's like to fight on a big MMA event.
What you want to do with a good clinch, it's going to be a struggle to pull. You try to pull back, I've got it, quite tight. So what we do, take your hand on the tricep, keep it tight, push it, drop under, keep hold of the head. Okay, very simple. We're going to move on from that in a minute.
Nick, can you tell me a little bit about the classes that you run here?
Yeah, beginners classes, we've got a few guys that fight semi-pro and amateur. So we just run through simple techniques. Like Neil's got a white collar fight coming up, so we sort of assess his opponent and just sort of pick certain techniques that help him to escape. Obviously, we can't work on advanced stuff like submissions, so just basic stuff like wrestling, jiu-jitsu and a bit of stand-up.
How much experience has Neil had at the fight game?
Neil's had no experience at the fight game whatsoever. Neil's going into white collar with probably 8 to 10 weeks training. The rules are pretty. The only thing you have to do is strike into the head on the ground or elbows. Everything else goes. It's a 1.5 minute round. 3 rounds. It's an opportunity for guys that love the sport but don't have the opportunity to train all day because they work a lot. So no experience, and we'll see how it gets on.
The main thing with me is I'm a very driven person, and as long as I've got that someone to sort of either strive to see do what they're doing, or to learn from, then that's all I need. And Nick's given me that sort of rock of support. Just from everything really. You've got the nutrition, the kickboxing, the grappling, the wrestling, the neuro-linguistic program. I mean, everything is covered. He's a very inspirational person. He does it. He feels it. You can see the passion that he's got for it, and it's easy to feed off that. So I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait for the fight, really, to be honest. And like I say, with Nick behind me, sort of, want to do the best for me and also for Fight Science and everything to give back, I suppose, the support that they've given me, really.
Rolling past my nose. It's the last training session of the day, and Nick's preparing to finish up the day's events with a return trip to the prize fighters camp.
Right, playtime. Oh, there's no one here yet. How we doing, boys? How you doing? Not bad. But you get the odds.
Amongst the fighters here this evening is 16-year-old Jay Dodds. The son of mixed martial artist Rick Ellis, Jay's tipped to become a household name within the MMA world, and for very good reason. To say that Jay's a chip off the old block would be an understatement. From what I've seen of this 16-year-old, he's got serious talent, and he'd give anyone twice his age a run for their money.
Right, I wanted to introduce everybody to Jay Dodds. This guy, how old are you now?
I'm 16.
16. How many fights you had?
2 MMA.
And how many have you won?
2.
Get in there. I tell you, this kid is going places. He does his stand-up with prize fighters, as we all do with Solomon Raja and Usman Raja. Great stand-up. He's with Fight Science now, developing his ground game. Got another fight coming up.
July the 2nd.
July 2nd. Good stuff. That's the same show that I'm fighting the title for. So, everybody, watch out for this young man. I'm telling you, he's going places. Keep your eye on him. I've only come here for one reason tonight, and that's to kick this guy's head in. Sweet. I'm going to smash Sammy's face in tonight. You can try.
I've been told what a great stand-up camp Raja Prize Fighters is. And now, it's time to see for myself.
Don't wait for him.
After talking to his brother Solomon, I wanted to get Usman Raja's opinion on what he thought about Nick's chances of winning the title and what he'd have to do to get there.
What we've got to work on with Nick is his balance. Because when you're coming up to a fight, the things that you can get complacent with generally, and that's with every fighter in between fights, things that you become complacent with, you have to get rid of. So in terms of his footwork, in terms of his defence, weight dispersion, and also the fact that he won't just be boxing, he's going to be throwing knees, he's going to be throwing kicks. The opponent will be throwing knees, they'll be throwing kicks. So it's very much from point of view of getting into that combat mindset rather than the sparring mindset, so to speak. So yeah, we've got a good amount of time to get him into that zone, so to speak.
Either way.
Coming up next time on Nick HeadHunter Chapman, Warrior to Champion. Nick gets to work with his good friend Alex Readinator Reed. We take a deeper look into Nick's business, Fight Science. And we follow Nick to the Troxy in London as he corners Neil Harris in the White Collar MMA event.
Doubt I'll be that one you heard about, the one who get it in and get it on. I'm like an animal when in my house, no pulling out. I'm feeling hot, so watch your mouth, my friend. You do not comprehend what it is you're talking about. I need a drink, a freak a beat, one time to say I turned it out. If I did, then I did. What you worry about? I see you standing there looking tough. What's that about? We both know you gon' turn around and walk it off, so cut it out.